Okay, thank you, Kevin. So as Kevin said, my name is Joel Halverson, and I am with Quintel Management Consulting, and we have been working with BIMSR since 2016 and developing an application for the cannabis industry. So I'm going to talk today about how we have incorporated the EBA workflow into our complete ERP Cannabis solution. So am I currently sharing my screen?
Let me see. Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay.
So I need to also mention, so we have 15 minutes for each panelist. When 5 minutes left, I'll let you know that there is 5 minutes remaining on your side.
Okay. So just to give an idea of the application that we have developed and incorporated the EBA workflow into is, as I said, ERP Cannabis, which you can see on my screen. And it is a complete ERP solution with financials, production planning, point of sale, HR, payroll, cultivation management. So complete ERP solution, and of course being able to incorporate workflow into a comprehensive solution such as this has been a real advantage for us, and utilizing the EBA platform for that has been a challenge, but I think it's also something that has worked out great for this type of a solution. So I'm going to go into the ERP Cannabis solution, and let's see, what I want to do is move over here to EBA. So this is the EBA dashboard. So basically we have all of our applications that we have developed incorporated into the ERP Cannabis solution, and basically we have integrated all of our forms that we're using on the EBA side with SAP. So the ERP Cannabis solution is based upon the SAP platform as the core ERP functionality. And the idea with ERP Cannabis was to develop a way for users that may be part of small companies in the cannabis industry, which is new and growing, and many small companies, many small participants in the industry, but being able to utilize basically the capabilities of a tier 1 solution such as SAP without having to actually be trained and know what needs to be done within SAP. So this is where we have been utilizing the EBA platform, and I'll go through a simple example of creating a purchase request. So if I click on the purchase request form, you can see that it'll come up with the standard kind of information that's needed in terms of who's requesting, the company associated with the request, the payment method that would be utilized, any comments, and then the items that are requested as part of the purchase request. So setting up all of this information within the EBA form is straightforward and utilizes the master data that's in the ERP backend to be able to select, for example, particular inventory items that are in the SAP system and directly request that information and all of the relevant attributes of that item that's being requested from the master data within the ERP system. So once that's done, the workflow can be set up. So in this particular case, what we have found is that the EBA solution provides a very flexible way of setting up a workflow that would be required. So in this particular case, you can see that, let's see if I can, I'll just have to scroll. So we'll set up the workflow so that the document is created, which is shown here. Document is completed. Once we click send, it's going to initiate the workflow process. So you can see that we have notifications that have been set up, notifications within the workflow process that would alert others via email or directly through the EBA solution, the EBA platform, that a new purchase request has been created. So in this particular case, once the notifications have been sent, the workflow is able to determine whether the request requires a different level of approval depending upon whether it was originated from the production team or from the extraction team. And if it's not, then it would bypass that intermediate approval and go directly to the next level of approval. So in this case, we have notification, we have a check for first level of approval, and then a check for the second level of approval. So based upon whatever these decisions are at these points, you'll either approve or reject. And then, of course, there's different actions that are taken if it's approved at the first approval step, then it goes on to be approved at the next step. If it is not approved, then basically a rejection notification can be sent, and the document that we created back here is sent back to whoever requested it initially. So if it goes through to the second approval and then is approved, then it is sent through to the ERP system and processed, and then a successful notification is generated so that whoever has initiated the request can be notified that everything has been approved and the system has been successfully updated. So in our situation with ERP Cannabis, having the ability to set up and easily manage this type of a workflow in conjunction with all the different types of processes that can happen within the organization has been a real benefit and has also proven to be easily manageable as well. So that's provided a lot of benefit to the company in being able to know, making sure that the appropriate people know what's happening as part of all of the different processes that happen. So if we look, for example, at
Joe?
Yeah.
Sorry for the interruption. We have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Oh, okay. That went fast. So if we look at all the different applications, you can see we have purchasing applications, we have HR applications, we have production applications, we have finance applications. So a number of different applications, and being able to manage all of the workflow for all those different applications is essentially what we have done. So if I go to workflow management, and if I click, for example, on approvals, that'll come up with the list of all of the forms or documents that have been submitted that require my approval. So if I click, for example, on a process order approval, I can see that what the document is. I can click on the document, it'll come up and it'll say either approve or reject, so I can review the information that's contained at this point on the particular document. I can click in and see any additional information that may be needed to be reviewed before I decide whether I'm going to approve or reject. And then upon reviewing the information, I can determine what is going to be done. If I click reject, it'll come up and it'll ask me for the reason for the rejection so that the user who is receiving that information can know what may be the problem, and then it can either be resolved and resubmitted or otherwise canceled and discarded as a particular request, or I can just click on approval. So then it goes through the process and updates, and then it'll come back and basically provide the required documentation, complete audit trail. So it was started at this particular point in time, notification was sent at this particular point in time, approved at this point in time, and then down below you can see the graphical representation of that workflow as well. So that has worked very well for that purpose. And then we have the notifications, so same concept. I can look at all the notifications that have been submitted, click on the appropriate document, and review the information. Notifications would not provide the ability to approve or reject. Only those that show up in the approvals folder would be allowed for that purpose. If I go to the process management, this is where I can look at particular users that may be in the system. I can select a particular user. So if I go in and select myself as the user, it'll come back with all of the processes that are awaiting my approval, and basically I can click on a particular process and assign the request to a different user. So this is in the event that someone's out or someone may no longer be with the company, whatever the case might be. We can use the process management capability to then reassign and make sure that the business process is completed without having to wait for an individual user to take care of that. So again, I can go through, assign it to a different user, click OK, and now that has been reassigned. So that's a quick overview of the workflow management type of capabilities that we've incorporated into ERP Cannabis through the EBA solution.